Hello everyone, 5.1 through 5.3 quiz review. We're doing the back, so this is 15 through 26. So for number 15, the first thing I want you to pay attention to is that there are now two triangles that we're looking at. So I have a yellow triangle and I have a blue triangle. And what we need to figure out is which one has an easy access point. Meaning if I wanted to start with this blue triangle, right now I'm looking for angle 4 and angle 5 and I only have one out of the three angles. And so I'm not going to be able to access that triangle yet. I'm going to have to use information from the triangle on the left in order to then get into the triangle that's on the right. And so I do have two known numbers on the triangle on the left. So I'm going to do 180 minus 72 minus 86. And that is going to give me angle 3. So 180 minus 72 minus 86. And that leaves me 22 degrees for angle 3. So 22 degrees. I am also going to fill that into the picture. It is going to be very, very helpful to not only put it at the bottom where your answer choice goes, but also to fill it in the picture, because now these triangles overlap and form an X, and we know that vertical angles are congruent. So what do we know angle 4 is? Angle 4 is also going to be 22 degrees. Okay? Why does that help me out? Well, now I know that to find angle 5, I'm going to do 180 minus 22 minus 70. What happens when you do 180 minus 22 minus 70? You get 88 degrees for angle 5. And so we used the values in the yellow triangle in order to solve for the value in the blue triangle. I was able to copy that across. That's supposed to be an 88. Didn't look great. Okay, so we had to start in the yellow, and then that gained me access to the blue with the vertical angles. Now, number 16 is one single triangle where two of the angles there are interior, and then we have a known exterior angle. So again, if you know the remote interior angles theorem, it says that the two remote interior angles, yellow plus blue, are going to add up to the exterior angle. So 65 plus, I'm going to put an X here, 65 plus X is going to be equal to 105. So if you know that shortcut, and you want to use that, that is fabulous. That makes it quick. That's going to be very, very useful on these problems just to make it fast. And so then we would subtract 65 from both sides. And what happens when you do 105 minus 65? You should get 40. And so that would be 40 degrees. We'd have 40 degrees left for X or the question mark. But let's say that you didn't know that. Let's say that you did not immediately see that. So another way that you could work this specific problem is you could find this angle. So I'm going to call that my heart angle. And I could do 180, because this is a linear pair. So 180 minus 105 is going to give me 75 degrees. So now this is 75 degrees. And then you could also then do 180 minus 75 minus 65, and that will also give me 40. So either way is totally fine. Just whatever you see that's quickest. So I think that using the blue plus the yellow equals pink is fastest, but you would be able to solve this particular problem using the linear pair and then getting into the interior of the triangle. All right, so let's look at this next problem. We've got a triangle, a single triangle, and in this single triangle, all the angle expressions are different, meaning all the side lengths are going to be different. So 2x plus 6, 2x minus 6, and then x. So what do I know about all three of those? Those are all three interior angles, and so they should have a sum of 180. So x plus 2x plus 6 plus 2x minus 6, so all three of them are going to be different, equals 180. And so I'm going to color code that, 2x plus 6, 2x minus 6. It does help to color code it and make sure you have all three adding up to 180. And so then I'm going to combine my like terms. That is going to be 5x, because it's 1x plus 2x, plus 6 minus 6 gives me 0, so that equals 180. And then I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides. I believe that that gives me 36, but let me double check. 180 divided by 5 is in fact 36. So if it just said to solve for x, we'd be done. And we are, because that's all at once. One thing I could have you do is actually go back. And you could do this on your quiz to check it. This would be 36 degrees. This would be 2 times 36 plus 6. So let's do that real quick. Let's see. Plus 6. That's 78. If it wanted me to solve for the angles, this would be 2 times 36 minus 6. 2 times 36 is 72. minus 6, that's 66. How do you make sure that you did it right? To check it, you add together 36 plus 78 plus 66, and that in fact is going to give you 180 degrees. So you know you did it right just to check it. And that way if they ask you for anything on the quiz, you would know what to plug it into. Okay, list all the following congruency statements that are true based off of the diagram below. If not marked, list why they are congruent. And so let's look what they have currently marked as congruent. We know that angle N is a right angle P is a right angle, so angle N is going to be congruent to angle P because all right angles are congruent. We know that this angle right here, LMP, angle LMP, is going to be congruent to LMP OMN, because those are vertical angles. For this one, I'll write it out. All right angles are congruent. Okay, so if we know that 2 out of the 3 of the angles are congruent, we learned a theorem called the third angles theorem, which just says, hey, what's left for L is going to be the same amount of what's left for O. So we also can say that angle L, 1, 2, 3, is going to be congruent to angle O. Angle L is congruent to angle O by the third angles theorem. Third angles theorem. Okay, so that's our angles. We've got our angles down. Let's also look at our side lengths. So I'll do that right here. What sides do they have marked as congruent? Well, they've got all 3 sets. So we have P to M is marked congruent to N to M. They have N to O, which is pink to yellow, is congruent to P to L. And then last but not least, L to M is congruent to O to M. All of those were given in the picture. List all of the following congruency statements that are true based on the diagram. If not marked, list why they're congruent. So what can we now say about the triangles? Because we have 3 angles, 1, 2, 3, that are congruent, and 3 sets of sides that are congruent, I know that my 2 triangles are going to be congruent. So I can say triangle, let's just pick an order, LMP. Triangle LMP, that was yellow, blue, pink, is going to be congruent to yellow, blue, pink, OMN, triangle OMN, because all 3 sides are congruent and because all 3 angles are congruent. All right, this next picture, we have 2 triangles that are not touching. Remember, they're not overlapping. So this one, they were overlapping. I got to add some extra information. These, they are not. So what is the only thing I have congruent? I have a single angle. And so that's going to be angle Z. Angle Z is going to be congruent to angle W. And there's nothing else I can add. They're not overlapping at all. There's no side lengths marked. And so that's the only thing we knew that is true based off the diagram. Okay? All right, using the congruent statement, find the value of X and Y. Remember, we talked about how important these are. So A and D, let's go ahead and mark those in the picture too. A and D, here and here. So then we have B and E, B and E. This just helps my brain because y'all know I'm visual. Here's C and F. Those are congruent. And so what do we know? Let's go ahead and mark our side lengths. AB, this one, is congruent to DE, this one. BC, boom, boom, is congruent to EF, boom, boom. And last but not least, the smiley face part, AC, 1, 2, 3, is congruent to DF, 1, 2, 3. So we've got everything marked, and we want to solve for X and we want to solve for Y. So let's go ahead and copy what we can across. So blue is, angle D is 23 on the left, so let's make this 23 degrees. 117 is the pink one, so we know that this 11x minus 4 should be equal to 117 as well. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. 11x minus 4 should be equal to 117. So we'd add 4 to both sides, and we get 121. When you do 121 divided by 11, you get 11. So what is the value of X? It is 11. How do I know that that's true? Because if you did 11 times 11 minus 4, you'd get 117 degrees. So how do we solve for angle F? Well, I know that I've got these 2 listed. So 180 minus the 23 minus the 117. 180 minus 23 minus 117. That is going to give me 40 degrees left for F, which also means that that is also going to be C. So they didn't ask me to solve for that. I don't know why I just did that, but I felt like I needed to. So here we are. Now we want to solve for y. So y is a side length. So y goes from here to here, 17y minus 8. Well, who is that congruent to? That is congruent to this piece, which is 12 plus 13y. So we're going to set those equal, those two expressions. 17y minus 8 is going to be equal to 12 plus 13y. So we're going to get our y's on the same side. So we'll get 4y equals, add 8 to both sides, you get 20, and then you divide by 4 on both sides, and you get 5. How do you know you did it right? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Plug it in. 17 times 5 minus 8 is 50. So make sure the other one's 50. 12 plus 13 times 5. Ooh, let me make sure I did that right. 12, let's see. 13 times 5 plus 12 is 77. So let me type this in again. 17 times 5 is 85 minus 8 is 77. Okay, so I know I did it right. I just plugged it in wrong the first time. So both of those are equal to 77 units long, so I know that I did that correctly. All right, let's do this again. I'm going to go quick on this one. L, R, boom, boom. Okay, and then let's go again. M, S. So here's M, here's S. And then last but not least, N and T, N and T. Let's copy this stuff across. 93, 93, 63, 63. 3x, so I could call this one 3x as well if I want to. And then let's do our segments. L to M, 43, is going to be congruent to R to S. So I immediately can set those equal. I know that 43 is going to be equal to 3x plus y. Now, why can I not solve that? Because there's two variables in it. So let's keep going. M to N, boom, boom, is going to be congruent to S to T. And then last but not least, Ln, 1, 2, 3, is congruent to R to T, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we need to get started. So what are we going to solve for first? We cannot solve this expression. So what we need to do, or we cannot, I'm sorry, we've got an expression equal to a number with two variables in it, so we cannot solve that equation currently. But I do know that 3x is in both spots. And so what do I know about all three of these? I can't, if setting 3x to equal to 3x, that's going to be an infinite number of solutions. But I do know that pink plus yellow plus blue should add up to 180. So 63 plus 93 plus 3x should have a sum of 180. So let me do that in colors. That was blue plus pink, 93, plus yellow. Those should have a sum of 180. And so I'm going to do 180 minus both of those. So 180 minus 63 minus 93 is equal to 24. So what is the value of x? The value of x is 8. So we had to do this first. X is 8. Now that we know x is 8, we can do this second. Because we know what x is, I can replace that x with an 8. So it's going to be 3 times 8 plus y equals 43. Well, y'all, what is 3 times 8? It is 24, and that's 24 plus y, and then we subtract 43, we subtract 24 from that. And so y is going to be 19. So we had to do that second. How do you know if you did it right? Plug it back in. 19 times 3 is 57, plus 93, plus 63 has a sum of 180. So 3 times 19 plus 93 plus 63 has a sum of, oh, y'all, I did something wrong. Hold on one second. We plug that in, 8, 16, 24, 43 minus 19, because this should work. Oh, that's what y is, y'all. Okay, cool. So how do we know if we did it right? You go back and you plug it in. Let's see, 3 times x, which is 8, and then plus y, which is 19. I was plugging in for x, my bad, guys. And that would make this 43 as well. So when you plug in your x and you plug in your y, I know that I did both of these right, because when I multiply that out, it ends up being 43 as well. Okay? So sorry, I had like a little brain issue there. Solve for the indicated value. So now we need to pay attention to what kind of triangle it is first. So what kind of triangle is this one? This is isosceles. So because it's isosceles, we learned a theorem that says its base angles are going to be congruent. So if this is 36, this is also going to be 36. Why does that help me? Because we're trying to solve for x. And so I know that I can do 180 minus 36 minus 36. Because the triangle angle sum theorem tells me that those should add up to 180. So that gives me 108 degrees for x. 108 is what that angle is. So this is 108 degrees, and that does look obtuse. Well, what is my next kind of triangle in 23? It is equilateral, so I immediately know all of the angles are going to be congruent, and all of the angles are going to measure 60 degrees because of those congruence marks. And so I can set 2x plus 32 should be equal to 60. So 2x is going to be equal to 28. So x should have a value of 14. How do I know if I did that right? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. 2 times 14 plus 32. Let's see. 2 times 14 plus 32 is in fact 60. All right, what kind of triangle do I have on the next problem? Well, it's turned sideways, which is totally fine. Here's my base. It's got base angles on it that are congruent, which means that these legs must be congruent. This is an isosceles triangle. So this was equilateral. This one is isosceles. So what do I know about those legs? Those legs should be congruent. So I can set 15x plus 7, that expression, equal to 23. Let me scooch this over. Equal to 23x minus 17. I'm going to get my variables on the same side. That is going to be 8x equals 17 plus 7, and that's 24. So what is the value of x? X is 3. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Go back and plug it in right here. Plug in x here, plug in x here. 15 times 3 is 45, plus 7 is 52. So make sure the other leg is 52. 23 times 3 minus 17 is also 52. So I know that I did it right. Number 25 and 26 are a little bit harder because we have some overlapping triangles. So we have an isosceles triangle here with its base. So if that's x, then this is also going to be x. And then we also have an isosceles triangle here with its base. So if this is 64, let me do this in a different color. If this is 64, then this piece is also going to be 64 because those are going to be congruent base angles. And so how do I solve for x? There's many ways that you can do this, but I'm going to solve for this little heart angle first. So I'm going to do 180 minus 64 minus 64. That's going to be equal to your heart angle. 180 minus the 2 isosceles base angles gives me 52. If this is 52 degrees, then I could use the fact that this is a linear pair. What is 180 minus 52? 180 minus 52 is going to give me 128. And so I can fill this in here as my vertex angle. And then I can do 180 minus 128. So I have 52 degrees to spend evenly between this angle and this angle. And so we're going to divide that by 2. 52 divided by 2 gives me 26 degrees. So x is going to be 26 degrees. Each of these angles would be 26. So we had to find all the other angles first in order to solve for x. Number 26, we have an isosceles triangle. So here's my base. There's my 2 congruent base angles. And then it's touching a different isosceles triangle, different legs. So 1, 2. So here's my base. Here's the angles that are congruent that sit on that base. So if that's 59, then that's 59. Okay, so let's use some vertical angles here. I'm going to do 180 minus those 2 leg base angles, or sorry, base angles that sit on those legs. So 180 minus 59 gives me 62. So then vertical angles are congruent. So if this is 62, then this is 62. If that base angle is 62, then this base angle is 62. So how do I find x? 180 minus 62 minus 62. Minus 62 minus 62. Boom, it is 56 degrees. So x is 56 degrees. That was a horrible tip. I hope y'all have had the best day.